Hello, assalamu alaikum if you're Muslim. um, I feel prompted to make a video about a subject I haven't covered as yet, and that's Islam. And I speak as an ex-Muslim, although it's not a point to me. It's really rather a moot point whether I'm ex-Muslim or not. It's very difficult to use such a term, considering religion goes into your genes. It's the Lamarckian inheritance. And it's very difficult to get rid of it. I just ignore Islam. I follow the advice of prominent Muslim ex-Muslims who say very rightly, correctly advise people to stay away from Islam, because my experience has been exactly the same as most ex-Muslims and even Muslims, if they admit it. Islam was for me a desert. And I was grateful to be liberated from the strictures of Islam after my father died when I was 12. My mother, who was quite devout Muslim, she turned to Islam in her later life and developed schizophrenia and delusions, about religious delusions. She died when I was 9. She took her life, took her own life. And after that, I was free to explore the universe, the world around me, as I saw fit, and I examined other belief systems like Christianity, Buddhism, and Hinduism, and Taoism. So I'm grateful for that, and I don't really know very much about Islam because I turned my back on it after 12 years. I lost contact with all family members, my Muslim family members, and I went my own way. I went unapologetically, went my own way. But I can see that Islam is causing a lot of distress in the modern world, and suffice to say, I lived in fear of Islam probably as well. I mean, looking away from Islam doesn't make the problem go away. The problem of religious fundamentalism and xenophobia. I myself never read the Quran. I know very little about Islamic history. That's a very basic, bare bones narrative of the Prophet's life. And, I never found him an appealing personality, to be honest. And the fact that my father was named after the Prophet, Ahmad, was also, quite off-putting in its own way. Because Ahmad was the name of the Prophet of Muhammad, which means beloved or something like that, I think, praised. As I say, I don't know much about Islam, and I'm not worse off for that fact. I became, followed the example of Christ as well as I could. I found him a far more appealing character, and later Buddha. And I found these appeal to my intelligence. I guess I was more intelligent and I walked away from Islam at a young age, because when I was about 9 years old, I came across a copy of an English translation of the Quran, and I'd been saying all these verses, Quranic verses, kalmas, learning them by rote in Arabic, and I don't even know what they mean. And for the first time, I got a copy of the Quran in my hands, which was the English translation by Marmaduke Pickthall, and that was in my father's master bedroom in the bedside drawer. And I just immediately, my eyes came to a verse in the Quran about Maryam. That's the mother of Jesus, and it's that Maryam, the sister of Aaron, who of course was the brother of Moses. I thought, hello, that's rather an anachronism. That's an anomaly. That's not right. And immediately there and then I realized that, this is this is not worth putting my effort or time or faith in. That's already a falsehood. And Islam, the Quran is regarded as, the infallible word of God. Well, that finished it for me there and then. I never turned back to the Quran. The only other verse that stuck in my head, which I thought was helpful, was Allah is closer to you than your jugular vein, which is Surah Al-Kahf 56, Surah 56, and that's about it. I found Muhammad to be rather like the Apostle Paul, a kind of second-rate copy, imitator of Christ, and really not Christ-like at all. I think Thomas Aquinas summed up Islam very well. I came across all that. A lot of my knowledge has come from the internet, only in the last 10 to 15 years, and I have to thank very enlightened people like Rifdan, Apostate Prophet, for cluing me in to how all the historical and scientific inaccuracies that are in the Quran and in Islam. And hats off to him, very brave individuals these are, who are daring to question the dogmas of the religion they were born with. I feel rather sorry for them because they obviously went through the mill and they became practicing Muslims, and I'm glad I missed out on that. I really am. I had a Hindu stepmother who brought me up after my father's death, and she never, I don't think she ever prayed. I never saw her pray. She converted to Islam. She called herself Maryam, in honor of the Virgin Mary, and my father paid a dowry for whatever. Anyway, that was the deal. She married him and got to convert to Islam from Hinduism, and that was my major influence. She was very liberal, enlightened person, not really religious at all, very much in the world and of the world. And my own experiments and experiences are uniquely my own. I never let anyone make up my mind for me. I even walked away from Christianity and turned to Buddhism, but that's another story. Well, it's really shocking how Muslims, I see, can't take criticism of their faith. I mean, if there's just one fact that is false in the Quran, which I just told you about Maryam, Mary, being the sister of Aaron, who is the brother of Moses. If that's wrong, that means the Quran isn't infallible, is it? It's not the infallible word of God. And I must really thank Rifdan, the Apostate Prophet, for elucidating. He's a brilliant ex-Muslim influencer. And he's receiving death threats from Muslims, and this is really sad, and the sad state of affairs of Islam today. He very, very, very adroitly elucidated all the errors in the Quran, even with regard to Jesus. I can give you another example of Jesus. The Quran states that Jesus wasn't crucified and that he was replaced by a doppelganger, which is an idea that Muhammad obviously got from Docetism and the Gospel of Barnabas. I'm saying that there is absolute proof that Jesus was crucified and resurrected, though he didn't die on the cross. And science shows us that through the evaluation of the Turin Shroud. So I've covered Jesus and the whole Jesus myth in an earlier video. Jesus, what he really meant by the kingdom of heaven, which you can go and have a look at if you like. But as I say, I don't know anything about Islam other than that I don't like it. And I found the verses, like most sensitive people, modern people, quite offensive. Kill the infidel, kill the unbelievers. And I didn't like the idea that the kafir, I don't like the term kafir, which is like a goyim for Jews. Jews call non-Jews goyim, and they look down upon them. It's sad. All right, the treatment of women, treatment of atheists, treatment of homosexuals. I believe in, I'm a secularist to my core. And I don't believe in God either of the religions. If there is a God, then as I say, that is something that you have to find out through direct experience, and only through mystical experience can you find out the answers to whether there is a God or isn't, to your satisfaction and whatever your personal journey, wherever it takes you. Good luck with that. Everyone has their right to follow the religion of their choice or the path of their choice, and undisturbed. And we live in a democratic secular culture. I live in the Netherlands, and I'm quite happy to have that culture proliferate everywhere, albeit not through guns and violence, which America is trying to do there in the Middle East with Israel. But I suppose that's the way you have to. It's a clash of civilizations, and Islam is no different from Judaism, Talmudic Judaism in that respect, in its utter contempt for other religions and the desire to destroy all other religions or subjugate them, forcibly convert them. And as such, in my estimation, Muslims are merely dupes and pawns in a very, very insidious game of the Jews, the Illuminati Jews, who I've mentioned in earlier videos, the Illuminati cabal, which is wealthy Jews and Christians who control the world. And that's not a conspiracy theory, because I've uncovered that, and you can look in my videos in the description boxes. I've given you ample proof that the Illuminati exists. And they, Talmudic Judaism and radical Islam are two of their weapons in order to subjugate people. First, they promote austerity. They proliferate austerity and poverty. So that results in people grabbing their Bibles, their Qurans, and their Talmuds, their Torahs, and looking for answers within. So that radicalizes people. The less money, the more likelihood they're going to turn to radical forms of religion. Or non-religious ideologies like neo-Nazism or communism. And they're going to want to create a revolution. So that's really, what's really behind the scenes is the satanic death cult known as the Illuminati, which happens to share a number of features in common with Islam and Judaism. And one of the key features is the centrality of sacrifice. And they are demon worshippers who worship Satan and sacrifice kids to Satan and animals, no doubt. So sacrifice is really big among these Sabbatean, Frankist, Illuminati demon worshippers. The cabal that runs the West and, in fact, the entire planet